Tailgaters. Our final speaker has won many awards for his coverage of all sports in his 35-year career. He created and hosts Friday Night Football on WNOL, NOLA 38, and WGNO ABC 26 each Friday night at 11 p.m. He's a regular columnist for SportsNOLA.com, a weekly columnist for the Clarion Herald, and co-hosts the Three Tailgaters Show with yours truly and Gaille Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. on WGSO 990 a.m. Saints are 7-2 after their 49-17 demolition of Dallas last night. San Francisco comes to town on Saints Hall of Fame weekend this weekend. Please give a warm welcome to ABC 26 Sports Director Ed Daniels. Ed?
Thank you, Kenny. It's good to be here this afternoon with this esteemed panel. Coach Manali, I've known a long time. He's a great football coach. Not surprised he's doing well at De La Salle, and I'm sure great things are ahead. Coach knew, a lot of people don't know this or don't remember it because it seems like we've had two worlds, one before Katrina and one after the storm. But in 2004, the Voodoo won a South Division championship. Is that right, Coach? And that was a good football team. And I know Ken, Coach said he did a television show with Ken. I don't know exactly how much speaking Coach New actually did during that show, you know? My guess it was about 85% Trahan and about 15% Coach New. I'm not really, you know, and I don't think I'm exaggerating, okay? And of course, Skylar Green, you know, got to see him play a lot in high school, and he was an incredibly fast individual. You know, what was it? Let's see, 2 years ago we did our top 20 players of the first 20 seasons of Friday Night Football, and Skylar Green was in there. He was an enormously talented young man, and of course went on to some great things in college and professional football. One of the games I remember most is the LSU-Georgia game in 2003. 4th and 1 at the 35. Matt Mock scrambles and he finds Skylar wide open in the end zone for a touchdown. Well, there's a couple of things I remember about that. I got besieged with people sending me messages and different things because CBS Sportsline on their website had a shot of Skylar catching the ball, and I was in the background. And believe me, I had nothing to do with it. I'm just sitting there watching it, and I got quite a few comments about that. And one of the other things I remember about that day is my wife called me on my cell phone at halftime and told me she had made a purchase of several $1,000s. And in the heat that day in Baton Rouge, it was about 91 degrees. I almost passed out. But I was able to recover, do my job, and then of course we saw a great finish when LSU beat Georgia. And that was really, I think, the game that started that 2003 team to the national championship. That was a great Georgia team that they played that day, with David Green as their quarterback and David Pollock, who has now moved on to television fame, as their defensive end. That was an outstanding Georgia team, and LSU was able to win that day. The one thing I'll have to tell my wife when I go home today is that Skylar has better earrings than she does. And I'm sure that's going to cause me some problems at home. But you know, in the world of full disclosure, you know, we're going to have to say that. You know, I was in Tuscaloosa on Saturday night. It was a busy week. Friday we had our high school football show, and then we left at 11 o'clock, drove to Tuscaloosa for the game, and then drove back, got back about 5 a.m. I felt like I pulled one of those Ken Trahan days, you know, 20 hours and about 2.5 hours of sleep. But it was a great night in the SEC for a while, and then things kind of got away from this team. You know, I know there's been a lot of discussion about recruiting and what's happened between the two teams, but if you go back and look, that 2011 LSU recruiting class, which is now the junior class at LSU, was supposed to be one of the best in school history. And as I'm watching the game, I'm thinking to myself, you know, Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the best players on the field. He was a 3-star recruit. You know, and a lot of times, I got to tell you, a lot of times, coaches, high school coaches will tell me, so-and-so is recruiting this guy. And I look at them like they're crazy. And sometimes that you understand that recruiting is an inexact science. But I tell you what, I think I think Tulane University has gotten some really good players, and I know there was a question about Tanner Lee. I think he's going to be a really good player. He can make all the throws. The one thing you have to do, though, is you have to protect Tanner because he is not a mobile quarterback. He is an NFL pocket passer. And on Friday night, I got to see a very good player, too, a guy by the name of Glenn Gaille, who's our player of the week from Mandeville. He's a very, very fine player. And against a good Covington defense, he did a great job. Because you remember this Covington team held St. Paul's to 7 points. Glenn Gaille is a tremendous player, and I'm sure he's going to do well. That was a very good get for Tulane. He was not a 5-star recruit, but he's going to be a very good player. So anyhow, I was at the LSU game on Saturday night, and of course, I'm wondering why J.C. Copeland's got the ball in that situation. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm still scratching my head over that one. There were some other things that happened in the game, but against Alabama, you can't play that kind of game and expect to win. And it was truly disappointing. My only regret is that I wasn't sitting next to Kevin Keidel when the game was going on. Because a few years ago, I was at the Capital One Bowl in Orlando when LSU played Penn State. And of course, the field was absolutely horrendous that day. It was the worst turf I had ever seen. It was torn up from a bowl game earlier in the week. And I stepped on the field about 9:30 in the morning, about 2.5 hours before kickoff, and my shoes just sunk into the ground. So it was definitely a detriment for a very quick and fast LSU team to be playing on that surface that day. Well, anyhow, Tigers wind up losing 20-19. They get down inside the red zone and of course get sacked a couple of times and they don't win the game. So I've got to go do my interviews and then get in our car and drive to Tampa and catch a 9 o'clock flight. So we're busy. So I'm hustling through the crowd to get over to the interview room, and I see Kevin's wife, Candy. Hey, Ed. And we say hello, and she says, Kevin, there's Ed. And Kevin just kept walking right out of the stadium. He didn't even look at me. So it would have been kind of interesting to be with Mr. Keidel on Saturday night. And of course, last night I went to what was a butt whipping at the Superdome. 40 first downs to 9. It was quite a performance by the New Orleans Saints. And you know, it's pretty interesting that Tony Romo continues to get the blame for what goes on over there in Dallas. But if you watch the game last night, you realize their biggest problems are on defense. And I think they're like 40 or 50 million over the cap next year. But Jerry Jones has all the answers. Just ask him. And they are a franchise that is getting ready to take a precipitous dip. And you know, the Saints just keep doing their business. They keep on winning. And to me, they're a very good football team, but they have the biggest disparity in the NFL between home and away. On the road, they're a really good football team. At home, I don't know if anyone can beat them. Maybe the 49ers can beat them this week. I don't know. But I know one thing, at home, the Saints are brutal. And last night, they proved it. They dismantled that team from the beginning. And I thought it was very interesting right before that half that Jason Garrett was using his timeouts, because that really came back to haunt him. And you know, Sean Payton gets a lot of credit as a play caller, and he deserves it. That screen to Sproles right before the half was absolutely perfect. Because as he explained later, you know, we knew we were going to probably get a shot at a field goal. That was maybe our best chance to get in the end zone. And it just set up perfectly. If you go back and look at the play, it was so wide open, the lineman didn't have to do very much blocking on that play because it was wide open. So, and of course, Jerry did his interviews after the game, and the Saints just keep on winning. And I'd like to congratulate Coach New and what the Tulane Green Wave have done this year. Tremendous improvement. And I think the biggest thing moving forward is, and I've said this before at this podium and many other places, is the support of the administration. If you give these guys the tools they need to get the job done, they'll get the job done. I think that's already been proven in year 2. And you have to continue to give them the resources and the wherewithal and everything that goes into building an outstanding program. And if you do that, then these guys have a chance to be successful for a long time. And, you know, I'm 56 years old. I can't remember too many times when we've said that in the past. And I'm still lucid. I still have most of my memory. So I wish Coach New and Tulane all the best. Those guys do a great job, and they deserve your support. With that, I'll take any questions.
Ed, everybody here recognizes the talent that the New Orleans area has when it comes to athletes. And, but I don't know if everybody knows that we are pretty on par in the music industry as well as far as talent in this area. So with this being such a talent-rich area, why did y'all get the one guy that can't rap to sing the Friday Night Football song? I mean, that song is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan of rap.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan of rap.
Well, you know what? I think he thinks he does a pretty good job. I think he does too.
I bet he does. I mean,
you know what? Here's the one thing I can tell you, Bobby. Okay, I'm in charge of the show. Okay, and as long as I'm in charge of the show, he's going to be doing it. Now, I've had quite a few guys who've called me and asked me to do it.
Big Fave is about
to here's what I'd like to see.
In December.
I'd like to see Ken Trahan and Rick Gaille, okay, in their Air Force Ones, rapping that song, "Started at the Bottom, but We're Here." Okay, I'd like to see Trahan. Am I right, Skyler? Is that a good one? Who's the artist on that one, Skyler? Yeah, who's the artist on that one, Skyler?
Drake. Yep, it is Drake.
It is Drake? Okay. I didn't think it was the Beatles. I didn't think it was them. But you know what? If I will do this, I will fire that guy tomorrow if Trahan and Gaille want to do it. Okay?
Do it, Trahan.
If not, he's got the job.
What's the pay?
Not very nominal. Would you pay me?
All right, I do have a serious question. The playoffs are about to start in high school. Who do you think is going to win each division, the state championship in each of the divisions?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, that's an hour special on it by itself, Bobby. I mean, how many classes we have? 9? I don't know this year, Bobby. To be honest with you, I really wish we had 5. We'll have a lot of champions. I know that, and we'll be out there for you know, practically a week trying to crown them all. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's a mess. It's a mess. And my guess is next year, if all the classes vote, 1, 4, and 5 will be back together, and 2 and 3 won't. Just a guess.
Ed,
yes,
could
sir.
you go into a little detail about what you've heard about the select schools? If they don't vote to change, how that will happen? Will they be separate from the LHSAA? How will they basically rent stadiums and then divide up the riches, get a TV contract? I mean, that's all possible if the select decide to go on their own and become a super.
Right. I don't see that happening, Stan. I've been waiting for the groundswell of anger for a year now, because the vote was in January of last year, and I don't see that happening. So whatever we have here, apparently we're going to have. I don't see that from a select school standpoint where there's going to be an uprising. I don't see a Boston Tea Party coming at any point, you know.
What is going on with the Saints place kicker? Is he hurt? He's missing so
No, he's obviously got a confidence issue right now. He's had 3 misses from 43 yards, and I think last night was his 2nd miss from 37 yards. So he's missed 6 this year, and he's obviously going through a little bit of a phase, you know. And I think John Carney's retired. Is that right? So I don't think he's coming back. Yeah, and you know what? He made a 55-yarder this year too. So it's been kind of hit or miss, which is not a good thing in the NFL. And you know what? Coming down the stretch here, 49ers in Seattle, those are 2 big games. I'd hate to lose them on a kick. That would be tough.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? Well, thank you very much. And I'd like you guys to understand that, you know, on Saturday mornings while you're having your coffee and relaxing, I got to deal with this guy and Gaille. So whatever you do today, please pray for me, okay? Thank you.